Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I have to inform you that I lost my PowerPoint presentation. I don't know what happened to it. I think the AI dog ate it. I think the AI dog ate it. It's that AI dog that ate my PowerPoint presentation. But no worries. We can wing it, right? So I'm going to get AI to grow wings on my back. You ready? All right, grow wings on my back. Grow wings on my back. It's not happening. Sorry, I'm just kidding. That's not part of the show. I'm so happy to be here. As a fellow practitioner, I'm not an agile person. I'm just a curious person. And through my curiosity, coupled with generative AI, I've been given the opportunity to share what I experienced, what I've learned. How many of you here have not used ChatGPT? How many of you here have used tools other than ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc., all of those language model? How many of you have used Midjourney? Good. And Suno, the music creation app? Oh, okay, we're going to give you a taste of, yep, you did, yep. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to do a very interactive simulation of how you can use generative AI to enhance your team. Okay? We're going to role play, and I'm going to be calling a volunteer to come up with me and role play with me on the stage. Before we do that, I'm going to show you a video that I've created, I think 80% using AI. Okay, so this is AI-generated video. It's going to talk about the first half of the scenario, and then we're going to do another 3 minutes for the second half of today's session.
That's not all. Raj, our ML guy, he's stepping away for a few weeks. Family emergency.
So that leaves us, 3 people. And we're supposed to deliver a working Gen AI-enabled HR prototype in 4 weeks?
This was already ambitious with 5. Now it's borderline insane.
It's strategic. Leadership's watching. If we pull it off, we get air cover for Q3 budget and platform investment.
Well, we can't clone ourselves.
But maybe with generative AI, we can quickly train ourselves and stretch into the skills we don't have.
If we figure out how to collaborate with AI, not to replace us, but to help us go faster, we might just pull this off. So use Gen AI like a silent partner, fast, tireless, sometimes wildly wrong.
Exactly. We scope it tight, review everything twice, and let it cover the edges while we focus on the core.
All right, let's run this like a lean startup. 3.5 humans and 1 fast-learning machine. Omni Agile.
Dawn's embrace, chasing dreams at a rocket's pace, with sticky notes as flags we wave. Our bonds are strong and minds are brave. In the sprint of stars, we rise, with burning hearts and open skies, building futures day by day. Together we find our way.
Picture this. You've got this agile team, quite small, just 3 people, a governance PM, a back-end dev, and an analyst consultant, and bam, they suddenly get hit with a major setback.
Whoa, what happened?
Well, their product manager just quit, gone, and on top of that, their ML specialist is unexpectedly out, like for several weeks on leave.
Wow, okay, that's rough.
Yeah, and they still have this huge goal, deliver a working Gen AI-powered HR prototype. And the deadline, just 4 weeks away.
4 weeks with basically half the team gone. Talk about pressure. That sounds incredibly tight, even with a full team.
Yep.
Losing 2 key people like that, well, it feels like a knockout punch.
Exactly. So the burning question becomes, how can this much smaller team possibly deliver on that deadline?
And what role could generative AI play in maybe pulling off what seems almost impossible here?
Right. And that's our mission in this deep dive, to really explore how this specific team plans to navigate this crisis. It seems they're looking at redefining their roles quite cleverly, leaning pretty heavily on Gen AI capabilities.
Okay, it sounds like a real study in high-stakes problem solving.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that initial moment.
All right, so I need 2 volunteers, please. Who would want to? Jennifer, yes, please. And yes, ma'am. All right, and what's your name, sorry? Myla, nice to meet you.
I'm Jennifer.
Jennifer, nice to meet you. So I think we can stick with Myla and Jennifer. All right, so today we're going to be role-playing, right? So the company has lost a project manager and lost their ML engineer, right? And then there is a right-sizing that happened, unfortunately, in the company. So now they're shuffling everybody, right? And while we all have kind of know each other, but we don't know each other. And now we're going to have to figure out what are our skill sets and what are the gaps and how are we going to be able to bridge that, okay? Now, before we do it with AI, I'm going to ask just your thoughts. How do you think we can go about that if we want to figure out what are our skill sets and how can we work together as a team, what kind of role we're going to play?
We ask each other.
Yep.
We ask each other first what our skills are, and then how to work together. That could be a quick icebreaker, get to know you, what you.
And in situations like this, you're going to have skill sets that you don't think of as traditional skill sets, but people are going to have things that are going to come up. And you're going to sit there and say, okay, I didn't think about that, but hey, we could use that on the team. So you kind of have to dig out both.
Absolutely. And I got the mic. That's fine.
You
You
got
can
a
hold
mic,
on to it.
okay.
Yeah. So let's pretend today, okay? I am more of the somewhat pseudo data scientist person, okay? And let's pretend today, Myla, that you are a QA security-ish tester, if you will. Somebody, or what would you like to play? What is your normal role?
DPO,
Which is?
development product owner.
Okay, so pretty much Omni Agilist. We'll turn that into anything we want to be.
Okay.
And that's the point of today, okay? So what would you like to be? QA tester, security, UI, UX?
Security.
Security, all right. Jen, what would you like to be?
I actually really enjoy testing.
All right.
My usual job is I direct an Agile practice, but I really enjoy testing, so
All
I'll
right.
jump in and do that sometimes.
Okay, great. So today we're going to formulate a new team. The first person, David, has somewhat of a data science skill. He does data, he does BI, he does predictive analytics, he teaches responsible AI in college, and although he never developed his own foundational model, he can impersonate one by using deepfake. Now we're going to go to the next person, but first just say okay for now. So now and I'm ad-libbing. Now I'm going to ask you to repeat your skill set. Okay, ready? What's your skill set?
Let's see, which one? My skill set would be in testing and directing teams.
All right.
Okay.
And now we're going to ask Myla.
The development product owner and security.
All right. So the third person has security skills, risk and control, understand a little bit about how to make sure that we're compliant, because we're about to develop an HR app that will use AI to parse out resumes and screen out potential applicants. That's going to be our role today. So now, list out 16 combined skills, Agile skills, that are possessed by these 3 individuals. And so if you want to look at the result, here are the 16 combined Agile relevant skills: data and AI analytics, predictive analytics, data wrangling, responsible AI, prompt engineering, ethical AI, all right? And then, this is actually test-driven development, user acceptance testing, Scrum facilitation, backlog grooming, cross-functional team, security compliance, security by design, AI model risk, HR data privacy compliance, audit logging and traceability, bias and discrimination risk. Good? Yep. So we'll, role play this for a moment, okay? Yep. So what do you think is missing from this? Do you think the 3 of us can nail it in 4 weeks?
We need people to actually build it.
We need developers. Do we have any developers in the room? Do we have anyone who codes Python? Okay, JavaScript. All right, cool. So we got some. So let's pretend that we're going to have an offshore contractor that we're going to put for part-time. We don't have a lot of money. We can nail a little bit, but we're not going to be able to rely on that person. But we're going to have to figure out how to create some pseudocode, some framing, et cetera, and so forth. That's going to fall on us, right? What else are we missing?
What else are we missing? The lead engineer, the Scrum.
Yep.
The workflow manager,
right?
The business telling us what the requirements are. Otherwise, what are we building?
The actual product owner and the Scrum, because the 3 of us, we're not going to be able to project manage ourselves. We're going to be buried, right?
Yes.
This is something that will take about 5 people, 4 weeks, and we're going to have to try to deliver it, right? So let's figure out if we originally were supposed to have full team with developers, as well as Scrum Master, as well as the actual business analyst that's going to provide requirements, and all of those are gone, and the 3 of us would have to fill in, what do you think the impact would be to our project plan? Please create, first of all, a normal 4-week project plan to deliver an HR app using AI. And then simulate what the impact might be when we only have 3 people to deliver it. So now it is giving us an original 4-week plan, sprint 0, planning and design, user stories, architecture, diagram model, selection, compliance checklist, resume ingestion pipeline, digital, etc. All right, so I'm going through this quickly. Yep. And simulated project with a 3-person team. Impact analysis, no dedicated developers, no business analysts, no Scrum Master, less parallelism, more serialized task. Adjusted 5-week plan. Oh man, that is optimistic. With 3-people team. Okay, so the dependencies is that the BA role would need to be covered manually. Got it. Raw resume data sets. Oh, wow, yep. You got to clean up all that data sets, which, by the way, contains a lot of PII, because their resumes are real people, okay? Front-end stuff, policy design, all that stuff. So, all right. So I'm going to tell it my honest thoughts. I think you're being too optimistic. Come on, get real. You're absolutely right. Let's get real about what this would look like. Key constraints without no devs, no BA, no Scrum Master, no real UI UX, security guy, overloaded trying to do double compliance, risk assessor, and data risk watchdogs. 6-week reality plan. We'll take that. We'll take that. Right. Exactly. Now, so if we are going to use Gen AI to extend ourselves, I think we can learn some of these skills. Wouldn't you think? So let's see what it says. Absolutely, we can extend ourselves using Gen AI, but only if we're strategic about how we use it to amplify our strengths and close skills gap. David, you've got to upskill to light coding. You've got to accelerate feature engineering. You got to mock model generation. You got to do some bias testing. All right, these are the things that I can learn. Yes. And Jennifer, you're going to have to automate test case generation. You're going to have to write documentation faster. You're going to do master proxy Scrum and build UI. Yeah, we can do all this. We can absolutely do all this. And Mila, you're going to have to auto-generate risk assessments, learn legal frameworks quickly, GDPR, ADA, all of the above, and design explainability workflows. All right. Are these terms things that you know before today? Some of them. Okay, good. Like 50% of them, right? So we can do this. We can do this, all right? Now, we've figured out all of our roles. And then I'm going to pretend that Mila is in the next door for a moment.
Okay.
Hey, Jen. I think Mila's probably overplaying her security skills. I don't know how to tell her that, but when I ask her about SOC 2 certification, she's thinking like the socks that you use during Christmas, the Christmas socks, right? Like that's not what SOC 2 is about. What do you think? How do we resolve this?
Well, that's a good question. We're going to have to find out if she actually knows it or if we think that she doesn't know it. It could be wrong and she could actually know it.
Right.
So we should probably learn a little bit ourselves.
Yes.
Before we go and have that conversation.
Ooh, amazing. So one of the, yes. Okay, yeah. Would you repeat that? No worries.
No,
Yep.
I should have turned it on. No, what I said was we could be wrong in thinking that she doesn't know what she's talking about. And so before we go and have that conversation, we need to get some level set here.
Got it.
To make sure that we're not imagining things.
One of the team member is suspected to have less than what she projected as her skill being a security expert. The other two team members would like to address this in a most diplomatic and proper way. But before we do that, we also need to learn about this thing called SOC 2 certification. What are some of the ways in which we can validate our skill sets? How do we validate skills respectfully, break it into two parts, learning about SOC 2, and then methods to diplomatically validate? What is SOC 2? So now it's giving us all about SOC 2 certification. Again, we can learn everything about it. And now, this is the more important part, how do you validate and grow each other's skills? Well, normalize role stretching. Start by acknowledging that everybody's stretching. Hey Mila, I know that we're all covering new ground here. None of us are exactly in our default role, so maybe we should pair up and cross-validate our assumptions, right? And do you know what sorry. What I meant is, can you help us map out which SOC 2 controls apply to our AI workflow? And we're going to give her the mic.
And I turned it on.
Yes, and then I'm going to ask ChatGPT.
Oh, great answer! Nice. That is a smart answer. So now we're going to level set, right? So we're going to assign microtasks with built-in validation, etc. You know what? I like this idea of norming, right? We were just forming, right? And since we don't know each other that well yet, how about we gamify this, right? Have you all used Lucidchart? Yes? It's a collaboration tool, and I'm going to find it here, Lucid. There it is. So this is a very convenient tool. If you haven't found it, it has AI feature. It's amazing. It really is amazing, okay? So I can do things, for example, such as, this is the AI feature right here, and I'm going to find a mind map. Draw me a mind map for Agile skills that incorporate development, analytics, UI UX, and QA testing. All right, so let me see, how do I minimize this, minimize that. All right, there you are. So we start with this particular skill sets, right? And then I'm going to say, you know what, we're going to have to deep dive a little bit on the development. There's this thing called expand with ideas. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to automatically expand that into front end, back end, mobile development, etc. I'll do the same with UI UX. I'll do the same here with QA testing and analytics, right? And since this is, after all, a Gen AI-based application, maybe I need to kind of go with the machine learning a little bit deeper. So I'm going to scan this out. And now we got all of our mind map, okay? And what's amazing about this is I can take a screenshot of this, I can put it into ChatGPT, and it'll parse it out into a text. And once I have all of that text, right? Once I have all of that, now I'm going to turn into a Lucid Spark, which is the, which is kind of the collaboration feature of this. It has more of those sticky notes. I need to figure out how do I turn into that. It's not as easy, and here. Yeah, I'm going to do brainstorming, brain writing. Okay, there it is. This is hopefully the right one. There you are. Okay, so I'm going to do this. You know what? In order to save time, I'm just going to skip to plan B, which is to use my video to show you so that we don't have to mess with it. Okay. So this is a pre-recorded video of how I did it. We can do things such as, so the mind map, I already showed you that, right? And now, after the mind map is done, can you see this, by the way? Is it too small? Okay, good, all right. So after the mind map is done, I expanded on predictive modeling algorithm because that's an important part of our development, right? And so what you're about to see here is where we say, all right, we're going to use Lucid Chart using brainstorming feature so that instead of asking individuals what skills they have, we can actually validate that. We can say, hey, Jen, why don't you use the sticky notes to assign skills to me? And I'll do the same to Mila, and Mila's going to do the same to you. So there is our own self-assessment of our skills as well as our teammates' assessment of our skills, right? The combination of those two would generate differences that we can discuss as a team, right? And that discussion is neutral. It's just a collaboration. It's just very, very, natural. So here, for example, is in the sticky section. I'm going to go back 10 seconds there. Okay, so here's a really neat feature, because in that, I just pasted down there to say add stickies to the canvas, and it automatically adds all of the skills that we've identified. And then I can go and say sort it or organize it using AI. Come on, find it. There you are. All right, collaborative AI, and say sort ideas. And when we do that, it's going to sort it based on data science versus machine learning, security, quality. It's much more organized automatically, right? It's able to classify and categorize these skills and place it. And I'm going to skip a little bit faster. So now I'm using the board, the collaboration board, where it's essentially I can create 4 boxes, one for team member number 1, team member 2, team member 3, and the 4th one, we don't have anybody, so we're going to use Gen AI, enhance offshore person, right? Or temporary contractor person. Okay. And once we have that, I can move all of those sticky notes into the box. And once it's all prepared and ready, then we can start to use it. And so when I press submit your response, too far. All right. So now in the collaboration mode here, we can actually say, all right, Jennifer, please place the skills into the boxes where you think they belong. Okay? And this can be done with multiple people. All I have to do is share the link. Anyone can join and start moving things around. And we can even make it anonymous in Lucidchart. Very helpful? Very useful? All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for your participation. Let's give a clap to our Jennifer and Mila. And by the way, as a gift for your participation, I'd like to present you with the book that I just recently self-published. It's called Authentic Identity, the Human AI, right? Yes, and in the era of AI, thank you so much, ladies. Yeah. In the era of AI, it is my belief I've been gardening in data and AI field for pretty much my entire career life. And I've been blessed. I've been able to work with the Big Four. I've been able to work with Dell. I've been able to work with Informatica. I've done hardware, software, peopleware. I love every single moment. I never go to work. Every day I just play a game. I'm the laziest person on earth, right? And I've been given the opportunity to speak at KAA and many other venues, meet with some awesome people, and I can put all of that, accomplishments and achievements, bet on the table on this statement. AI will never replace humanity. If you take the human AI, your authentic self, your self-knowledge, who are you? Who are we? What are we here for? What makes us unique as a human? And combine that with a technological AI, artificial intelligence, you got an exponential power, AI squared, right? And that's what's going to change the world. So no need to worry about whether AI is going to replace us. In the short term, sure, there will be some disruptions. But at the end of the day, hold on to the things that keep us human. Authentic identity. I use the acronym ethics. A lot of times we hear AI ethics and we think, don't do this, don't do that, stop doing this. Boring, right? I use positive ethics. Ethics means do this, do that. Do ethics, E, empathy. Use AI to increase our connection with people. How can we communicate empathetically, like we showed just now? H, humility, right? Be humble. You don't know everything. Practicing Gen AI every day is going to show you that. T, tenacity, right? Be tenacious. Don't rely on the first answer. Ask the same question 3 different times, 3 different ways, and you're going to find the hallucinations, right? We've talked about humility, inspiration. Use AI to find inspiration. Courage, C. Use AI to help you calculate risks. Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is the art and science of figuring out how do you calculate risk, how do you calculate reward versus danger, and then make an informed decision based on that. AI is great at that. And finally, S, service. AI is a tool that provides abundance of information, abundance of ideas, abundance of contents, of entertainment. And if we keep it inside, if we use it for our own benefit, it's going to implode. How I gain so much knowledge about Gen AI is because I always strive to serve. I find out, what's your problem? People tell me, stay in your lane. I hate that. You're too curious. I hate that. Like, I believe in entrepreneurship, the 10 laws of entrepreneurship. Rule number 1, come to work every day willing to be fired. Not ready to be fired. Nobody's ready to be fired, but willing to be fired. No, I didn't get to it day 1. I was a corporate guy for most of my career, right? Until right before COVID when I decided to quit and go jump into a much smaller boutique. And my first day with the boutique was when COVID hit. And 1 year later, have to do on my own. Have to partner with people, have to find a job at the university, have to scrap, backstab, thrown into under the bus so many times. Thank God for all of that. And so today, I would like to encourage everybody. How many of you, by the way, just the stuff that I showed just now, Lucid, Gen AI, how many of you have actually experienced working with that at that level? Okay. Everybody can do this. Everybody can easily do it. The video, right? The first time I tried it, it took me a weekend. The second time, it took me 4 hours. The third time, it took me the time I took while doing number 2 in the morning. So you can really get better, and you can really get faster with it. Okay, so now, once we've settled on using Gen AI, we've decided as a team that we're going to do sprint 0, right? This is all new. Let's do a sprint 0 so that we can experience how to work with these AI tools and fail fast so we know where our gaps are, and then before we actually attack it. But with Gen AI, we can actually accelerate it. We're going to do this in less than 4 weeks, okay? So to start that, I'm going to play the video. Okay, where is that? Okay, why is it not showing? Okay.
Two sharks, homeward blow, stride the world with power to show. Their talks were once a plan, rebuilt on breaking no end. It deals went south, the stakes did rise. Cold boardroom glares replaced warm skies. The pain, the silent waiting pen. Will it begin? Where does it end? Power and pride, like a cedar and beat. Tears through the sea, the one song dream. All business cuts deep, the heart saved more. And two kindred souls waging war.
Okay, update time. I tried building the UI myself with Gen AI, and technically it works. But the layout is a mess. And I just realized the color contrast fails every single accessibility check.
It's not just contrast. That gender identity drop-down you generated only had 2 options, binary only. It's a real inclusion fail.
I feel that. I tried writing a Python script to parse resumes. Gen AI gave me beautiful code that loaded a real file. Turns out it hallucinated a function that doesn't exist.
Well, my turn to confess. I used Gen AI to draft our AI risk and privacy policy. Looked amazing at first glance. But when I ran it past the old security auditor doc, half of it was outdated. It didn't even account for data drift, third-party LLM risk.
So we're all stumbling. But that's kind of the point, right? Sprint 0 isn't about being polished. It's about figuring out where we break.
Exactly. I learned I can generate UI code, but not good design. Maybe next I try prompting Gen AI to explain design patterns first, not just code.
Same. I'm building a checklist of flags and hallucination traps. From now on, Gen AI doesn't write the policy. It drafts sections that I verify line by line.
And I'm switching to code by comment. I tell Gen AI what I need in plain English, then I debug it 1 block at a time. I'm not trying to become a dev. I'm trying to speak enough code to better.
So, stretch ourselves, but don't outsource thinking. That's the move.
Stretch, review, repeat, and write everything down. Every bad output is a training story.
Great. Well then, let's go fail a little smarter tomorrow.
All right. So, what are some of the things that you would like us to do? We're going to create an HR app using GenAI to parse. How do we start?
What is your role?
Say again, please.
What is your role?
My role, well, at this point, it's not a specific role. Let's just say we're trying to come up with the user story, and we're trying to plan. We're trying to plan for the sprints. What are we going to have to do? What are the things that we need to do?
You need to be able to put in some kind of job description.
We need to do some. We need to get some job description. Okay, great. What else? Can I?
You want a particular result?
Yep. Okay, great. So the input is job description. The output is the result, which is the prediction. Okay? What else? Can I get one more, please? You need a list of questions. Okay, great. I'm going to create an HR app that uses AI to parse through input, which are the job descriptions and also the resumes of the people. I need to be able to ask questions so that the resume screener can put in the criteria based on this, and then I need to be able to generate an output, the result, which ultimately is going to give me not just the recommendation as to whether or not this is the right candidate, but explainability, right? Why does the model think that way? You're building a very timely and high-stakes application with the inputs of job description, candidate resume, screener defined criteria, preferences, output, to do this right. If you're operating in a regulated and ethically sensitive environment, here's a suggested architecture. So here's a functional breakdown. Input interface, AI matching engine, rules matching, etc., LLM prompt. It gave me an example of an LLM prompt to test. Based on the job description and the candidate's resume, explain in plain English why this candidate is recommended or not. That's right. Which one?
The one that you just looked at, that's confidential information.
Exactly. Yep. So this is why you should never use GenAI as a first strike to develop the real thing. Anything you want to put into this, don't ever put real information in this. Use anonymized information, right? So, and the idea is not to get there. A lot of people say, I'm disappointed with GenAI. It hallucinates, it creates the wrong code, but that's the whole point. You're not trying to create an end product. You're trying to create prototype. You're trying to fail with it so that you know what needs to be worked on. Where are the traps? Okay. Now, I'm going to now start to create some artifacts. I'd like to create in Lucid some diagrams, such as entity relationship diagram, interaction diagram, and the process flow, so that I can create my business requirements document out of these. Give me some AI prompts to generate each of this. Give me 3 different prompts for each of these objects. Yes, ma'am?
David, if I may.
Yeah.
Any input from the attendees?
Will do, yes. So I will repeat the inputs from the attendees going forward. So now I got these prompts: generate entity relationship diagram for an AI-powered HR screening application. Include entities such as job description, resume, candidate, etc. Okay? So it's giving me that, and I'm now going back to Lucid, where I can create, using its AI, an entity relationship diagram. All right. So HR application that will screen resumes and then parse out job descriptions and do a matching using generative AI. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Now, by the way, when you put that prompt in, you can also say enhance the prompt. This is better because Lucid kind of knows, like, sometimes human prompting is not good as, excuse me, machine-generated prompting. So now I ask it to enhance it, and now it's a much better prompt. I'm going to generate it. All right, so let's see what it did. Candidate. First name, last name. Oh, all right, QA in 5 minutes. Resume, yes. Yes, please. LLM stands for Large Language Model. Thank you. There's resume, there's match result. Okay, this is pretty good. So I'm going to now improve this because I see that the candidate only has last name, etc. And so I'm not going to have time because 5 minutes, but I'll just describe what I could do though. Is when, we're not finished with the diagram, I can go and back to the AI and said, please increase the number of attributes belonging to the candidates, for example, by including certification, education, work experience, all of those things can be done. Then I can take this image and eventually go back to ChatGPT and ask it to interpret it and create code with it. So here is an example. Skip. All right, I already got that part down. Oh no, these are all the diagramming only. Oh yeah, so these are the interaction diagram, for example, that it generated. So interaction diagram is useful because you can use it to design your APIs, right? Each interaction is essentially a transaction passing through between your application and your back-end processing. So you could use interaction diagram to design your API. Okay. So once I have the data model, which defines the tables and the databases, and I have the interaction diagram, which defines the API, I can use those to then generate the code using ChatGPT. And it's not going to be accurate, but it's something that I can pass on to the developer to develop. Now here's the most beautiful part. I'm going to say this while I find the other video. I had, after I created the LLM, I have another working model that's more complete than this. I was able to then say, hey, wait a minute. If I am doing this, if I'm using Gen AI to parse people's resume, right, I need to make sure this is responsible. So what are some of the things that I need to do? And it gave me. You need to factor for bias. I was like, how do you catch bias? Well, you catch bias by, for example, replacing the name of that person with another name, right? So if the name is a weird foreign-sounding name, replace it with a different name and see whether it gives you the same result. And if it gives you a different result, that means there's bias there. And so I'm going to end with this okay, where is that? Sorry, it's not always handy when I have to do it this way, but... And this is a demonstration of how I took all of those images from the process flow, entity relationship diagram, and I can just dump it into ChatGPT and it recognizes the diagram. Now this multimodality is actually more powerful than word description. So I could have described the data model with words in ChatGPT. But when I use a diagram, it is able to catch more context, right? I don't have to describe it's one-to-many relationship between this table and that table. Just look at the diagram, interprets it, and create a more accurate SQL DDL than if I were trying to describe it with my own language. So multimodality is another powerful feature if you can do that. And with that, I'm going to just let it run and take questions. Yes, Milo.
I think you did it so smoothly that I think I missed it. So you went into the diagram part of Lucid, and then you dropped it into ChatGPT, or how did you?
Correct. So, yeah, the question is, how did I go from Lucid creating those diagrams to ChatGPT? All I did was select, copy, paste, and now I dumped it into PowerPoint just so that I can kind of look at the image first, become a PNG or JPEG, because ChatGPT will not take it. couple of times I've tried it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. I can just copy paste it right away to ChatGPT and it will take it as an image, but for whatever reason this morning it didn't do it that way. It took the text, so I didn't want that. I want an actual diagram. So I simply put it in a Microsoft PowerPoint, and then I recopy that image and attach it to ChatGPT. Now, you can only do this if you have the paid plan. The free plan is not going to allow you to do that. You're welcome. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Yes. The question is the music generation app. There's an application called Suno. There's a couple of others, but Suno essentially is how you can just generate music, and I'm going to do it now just so that for the sake of giggles, and you can see how fast it can run. And so what kind of music do we want? Country? What's that? Blues. A blues music about how Agile practitioners can become even better using Gen AI. It's going to take about a minute. In the meantime, next questions. Yes, please.
So you've done a lot with ChatGPT in here. Do you typically use that just as the overall tool, or do you find other LLMs like Claude and Gemini better for smaller components?
Right. So yes, the question is, do I only use ChatGPT? Do I use other tools for the LLM, the language stuff? Yes, I have used others. Gemini is better at coding, and especially Python, because it's created by Google to replace a lot of the Python work that they do very, very much, right? And some other tools, again, they have their own strengths here and there. So far, I found that I haven't even managed to match up to ChatGPT's level of intelligence when it comes to teaching my own course, so I'm fine staying with ChatGPT. Yes, so I usually, there's a couple of things. When I just, the question is, do I have strategy to stitching them together? And maybe I'll give a context. When you use these tools, the longer you prompt, it kind of runs out of memory. This is not an exact way of, this is not exactly what happened, but the farther down you go, the more it hallucinates, right? It's going to start misremembering or not remembering the previous context. So the key to that is, first, you got to chunk it small, right? You got to break down big tasks into small tasks, and then you got to prompt it. And sometimes you may have to all right, I know I have a super large task, so I'll break it into 3 parts. So I'll use the first session to generate the outline, and then I'll take the first part of the outline, generate a new session, and start from there, so that I can minimize hallucination. At the next stage, when I know, okay, this framework works, I can use Python to actually use RAG, and at that point you're coding, right? And again, I'm not a developer, but I've managed, I know a little bit of VBA back in the days, but I can use Gen AI to translate my knowledge as long as I understand critical thinking. That's the only thing that we need. Okay? And so let's see what it says. Yep. Yes, sir.
You covered project planning, coding, AI companion for open interaction. What you didn't touch on very much was the presentation layer.
Mm-hmm.
Is there AI tools that are being developed or available for that presentation?
Yes, in fact, I did have it. So the question is, I touch a lot of the back-end stuff. I didn't touch the UI UX because we're not run out of time. But absolutely, Lucidchart has wireframing tools. Now, the AI doesn't touch that. So again, UI is a little bit, there's not going to be a magic UI right away. But I think you can use ChatGPT to teach you. So for example, I discovered a technique called OOUX, Object-Oriented UX. Very helpful. Not only does it help, it kind of applies information architecture into your UX design. which is something that actually most UI, you have to have somebody who understands UI, but also data modeling to appreciate the beauty of this, for example. But then I use that to do the manual. But yes, I have, for example, said, hey, create a wireframe for this. Let me see if I can find it while, but I think I did have that at some point. Something has gone wrong. I'll have to pull it up. We can talk about it later, but yes. Do I still have time or overrun? Oh, 5 more minutes. Good. Questions? Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, so, sorry. The video is AI video. Sorry, let me see. And video AI is a tool. Okay. I also use Kling AI. Now, that one is hosted in China. So I only use that for pure AI generation. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
When switching chats, is there a concern that it's not going to have the context that you provided to me in the chat, or some context that was generated through additional prompts?
So the question is, when I switch from a chat session to another chat session, it's going to miss the context. You're absolutely correct. So which is why I would try to package it, right? So for example, the first chat, I've gone through like thousands of words, and I wanted to say, hey, at the end of this, summarize the context of this so that it's not too long, and here's kind of the final output, and then I use those two to then prompt the next one. Now, once you have that workflow, in Lucid there is a function for AI prompt flow where you could visually do this. So you could kind of say, here's kind of my workflow. First, I'll do the brainstorming, here's the kind of question. The output of that is going to go to the next one, which is another user set of prompts, where I'm going to take that, and so you could use that, for example, in something that you can automate, such as writing a book, right? Or producing a course material. Does that answer your question? All right, great. 2 minutes, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Have you experimented with like app building tools like D0, or do you have thoughts on those?
I have not. I have friends who have done that. So because I'm not a developer, my focus is more on the left-hand side of that. However, of course, my next goal is to actually learn design patterns. Okay. Once I master design patterns and how to code it, and also because that's such a busy area, I want to wait until it's stabilized a little bit, because every day there's something that somebody's created. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Where is all this going to end up? Where do you see this in 5 years? Because you said it's not going to replace humanity, and I agree with that, but it's replacing humans.
Yes.
In many areas.
Yeah.
So, and those are two different things, right? And replacing human skills, right? So, just give me your take.
Yes. Oh, the question is, what is my take? I said earlier that it's not going to replace humanity, but it is replacing humans. What's going to be in 5 years from now? The answer is, I have an opportunity to define the answer to that. Right? So I feel like, if anything, the question is like, what are we going to do with it? Right? What I'm trying to do is promoting AI literacy to the community, at the adult level with the company, at the university level, and at the children's level, K-12. And for the past 3 years, it's been pain. And with Gen AI now, I have for the first time, the confidence that I can disrupt. Okay? And I think the answer to your question is whatever you want it to be. If you master these tools, I think the only relevant question is, how far do we want to go?
Do you see these tools as because there's a factor here, and it's creativity and innovation. And then, what if we are all using these tools, right? Is the creative input, right? Is the output going to be related to the creative input? Because what I see here is it's mind-boggling.
Yes, so
I used to work in advertising, and it took me 2 weeks to create a video, and it cost $25,000.
Right. So maybe if I may rephrase your question, because I know this is a hard thing to even fathom, right? The question I ask myself every day, I teach students, I get them all to use Gen AI fully, right? And then I ask them like, so who did this assignment? And nobody even remember who did turn in whatever assignment, right? It's so abundant, it's so cheap, it's so nothing that nobody remembers. So there are techniques to do that. So when I tell them, for example, before you hit go, think of the answer. Jot down your thoughts, 3 bullet points, that's it. Don't have to be perfect English, just jot down 3 things. Because at least you register in your brain. Then when you hit go, you get the answer, you compare your 3 thoughts with the answer. That's when the neurons get connected. That's when you learn. So it's like you have a bucket, you put some filter with those 3 lines, you're going to catch something. If you don't think before you hit go, it's like a leaky bucket. It's just going to pass through.
It's time for our next break and
all right.
next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.